One of the first things that guitarists learn typically when they're trying to figure out how to play solos and how to improvise is shape 1 of the minor pentatonic scale, which is this. And that's a nice shape for a beginner because it's fairly easy to play. It sits nicely under the fingers, and it lends itself to a lot of interesting soloing ideas. What can happen then is, as the player is advancing and has played a little longer, they might get stuck inside of that one shape because they haven't put adequate time into some of the other pentatonic shapes that there are. And because the pentatonic scale is a 5-note scale, penta means 5, there's 5 different notes in the scale. That means that there's 5 different starting points where you could begin this scale. And on the guitar, that means there's 5 different shapes that are possible in a single key if you can keep the same pattern of 2 notes on every string. There are some other patterns which are really fantastic, where you can alternate between doing 2 notes and 3 notes on different strings, but I'm going to focus on the 2-note per string patterns today. And the reason I want to focus on these 5 shapes is because there are players that I've sat down to do a lesson with who are great players, who play professionally, some of them, and when we sit down, I ask them to run through a simple 5-shape exercise, moving through all 5 shapes in a single key, and a lot of times they can't do it all the way through. There may be 1 or 2 or 3 that they're really familiar with and they can play all the way up and down fluently, but then there are some gaps in their understanding. So I want to present this in a way that could be useful to the person who maybe only knows shape 1, or someone that maybe knows a couple of them, up to maybe you've practiced all 5 of these shapes, but you're not really fluent with them. I want to present a way to practice them that can help you get on your way to mastering them. Mastering any idea, of course, takes a lot of time. There are no shortcuts, but you just have to put in the hard work and time. But the one thing that I've found that makes it easier is to make your practicing sound musical. Make it sound like music, not just a technical exercise. So if I just practice my scale up and down, this is going to help build my muscle memory. It's going to help me learn the shapes, but it's kind of boring, and it gets boring after a while, especially if you just do that over and over and over again. You might get frustrated, and you might want to stop doing it. You might just start noodling and you're not paying attention to what you're doing. So what I want to do, and what I always try to do in my practice, is make it musical, make it sound like something interesting that you would want to play. So the way that we're going to practice these today is a descending pattern, ascending pattern, and then adding some chromatics to descend one more time on each shape so that it has an interesting musical sound that can lend itself to you being able to use it in a solo or a soloing situation. So I'm going to explain this in more detail when we go to a close-up shot, but I'll just demonstrate one time to show you what I'm talking about. So 3, 4. So I did a little fast there. I'll do it nice and slow when I demonstrate it, but we're going to take that basic idea and we're going to adjust it a little bit for each of the different shapes. We're going to move that through all 5 shapes, and I'm hoping that this will be a fun way for you to practice these pentatonic shapes and to move towards mastery of them, which will help you unlock more of the fretboard. We're going to start at shape 1 of the B-flat minor pentatonic scale, and we're going to start at the top note. So it's this scale. Starting at this note, and we're going to do a rhythm that begins on the last 16th note of beat 4. So 16th notes are counted in 4 subdivisions. It's basically splitting each quarter note up into 4 beats. So we say 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and So the of beat 4, the is the last 16th note of the beat. So we're going to start on the of 4, and then we're going to rest on beat 1 and hit the next note on the E So the second subdivision, the second 16th note of beat 1. So we'll go 3E and a 4E and a 1E. So 4E and a 1E and then we're off to the races. We're just playing 16th notes all the way down. So 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2 and 3, 4. And a little faster, that sounds like this. 3, 4. Already, to me, that sounds a lot more musical than just playing the scale like this. If I do that nice accent, I do a little palm muting as I'm going down to kind of choke these notes out. I like the sound of that. So 3, 4. I'm going to do the same rhythm in the opposite direction. So as I come down here, 3, 4, E and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a. So I've just repeated the same rhythm going down and up. I'll do it slow. 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little chromatic. So chromatic is just when you're moving every half step. A lot of times I use that term, and other people use that term to describe when we're going between two notes like these two and just playing all the half steps in between. And as a side note, adding chromatics is a nice way to mix up the sound of your pentatonic soloing. Obviously doing bends and different slides and inflections is a great way too, but adding chromatics is one nice trick that you can do to add some zest to your pentatonic scale soloing type ideas. So that's why we're adding it here. We're going to go from the root note, B flat, up to the D flat, the flat 3. And then we're going to descend the scale. And we're going to do this in the same rhythm that we did before as far as the beginning of it. So 3, after we come back from here, 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So I'm going 4 E and a 1 E and a, then just down the scale all the way down to the root note, and then I'm sliding down to the note before that in the scale, which is flat 7, and then I'm just going to resolve back to the 1. So that last bit, 3 and a 4 and a 1 E. So my full exercise played slow, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. That's the full pattern. We're going to do that kind of a thing through all of the 5 shapes. There's going to be a little variation on the way we end it on each shape, just because of how each shape sits and where the bottom of it is. I'm going to resolve back to the root note in each shape. So I'll just do it once more quickly. 2, 3, 4. So to me, that is a cool sound. I wouldn't necessarily play it exactly like this in the solo, but I would definitely do something of this nature. I would maybe kind of peel off and go back and forth in the middle, maybe going down or up. But this basic framework is just much more musical to me than just running the scale. So that's position 1. Position 2. Position 2 has a couple little tricky spots. There are some really nice little useful boxes that I'll address before we hit this whole exercise. You can, you've got a root note right here on the second string. So you've got this nice little box, which is a really nice little place to play part of a solo. You've got the 4, I'll call it, which you can always bend up to the 5. You can always bend the root note up to the minor third by bending up 3 half steps. It's always a cool sound. So this little piece of the scale right here is a nice thing to know that can extend nicely right off of your shape 1 pentatonic. Once we get past that, we have to move back 1 fret. It's the same relationship between the 2 notes on that string. We've got whole step movement on each of those strings, and then here we have a whole step movement again, but we're back 1 fret. So this creates a little bit of a challenge when you're doing it quickly. And we've got to adjust our fingering to get all the way down. So we've got here 11, I'm just going to say the fret numbers as I go. 11, 9, 11, 9, 10, 8, and then 11, 8, 11, 8, 11, 9. And I do this in a couple different ways. You'll see sometimes as we're doing this, I might use my 3rd finger to play these notes on the 11th fret, 5th and 4th string, reaching over so that I have a space between like my 1st and 2nd finger here. Might use my 1st and 2nd finger to play these 2, and then 1st and 3rd finger to play these ones. Sometimes I'll use my 3rd finger and 1st finger, and then 4th finger first. But often when I'm playing it quickly, I'll switch to this other fingering where I'm using mostly my 1st and 3rd finger. Like this, adding that stretch. I kind of default to that when I'm trying to play quick lines on this pattern. So, last thing to note before we try the same rhythm that we did on the previous shape is that this is kind of what we'd call the root position shape for the major. So we have the D flat major. This would be what I think of as the first major position, but when we're doing minor, it's kind of the 2nd position. So I'm going to go down in the same way that we did the previous one, making just a slight adjustment for that last part of the lick. So I'm going to start here, same rhythm, 3, 4, and down. And here, what I'm going to do, instead of doing a 4-note consecutive chromatic pattern, because my notes here are only a whole step apart, I'm just going to go like that. I'm going to add the chromatic note in between them and add it again on the way back down so that it fills the same amount of rhythmic time. So here it was 1, 2, 3, 4 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4 16th notes. That's a really dissonant note in this key, but it's just a passing note as we're playing this, so it works. So where my rhythm will be is 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and then here what I'm going to do is go up to the B flat note here. This is my root note again. The lowest note in this shape is a D flat. So since I'm resolving to that B flat up here, I don't know if you noticed, but I changed my fingering to use my pinky and 1st finger instead of doing that stretch. because if I went to my normal fingering where I'm stretching and playing third finger, first finger here, then I've got to kind of jump with that one finger to get back up to that B flat, and I don't really like that too much. So I'm going to play it like this. Another way you could resolve this is just to slide down to the B flat there. Either way is fine. I'm going to play it like this. So the whole thing nice and slow. 3 and, oh well, the whole thing in this position. 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 2, 3, 4. And you may need to do that a lot slower than I'm doing it here, but just try to get the basic idea, try to get the pattern down, pause the video if you need to, practice it a little bit, and then try it with a metronome, keeping your rhythm nice and steady. That's the key. So I'll do it a little bit faster so you can hear how it sounds in a little faster tempo. 3, 4. So it's pretty fun and not dry, because if I just play this up and down, that's dry to me, and little I could get sick of that a lot quicker than I could this. And the key with these scales is just repetitions. You just got to keep reps. It's like going to the gym and lifting weights. You don't go to the gym one day and then wonder why you're not buff, you know. You go to the gym over and over and over and over again over the course of weeks and months and years, and you do lots and lots of reps on the same exercises. You change it up a little bit, but music is no different. It's actually a really helpful analogy for learning guitar. It's just you gotta put in the repetitions on the different things. You don't have to practice the same things all the time, but there are some basic things you really want to get down. Pentatonics being one of those. For guitarists, it's just really crucial. The pentatonic shapes sit in positions of the guitar that we need to get used to. They create kind of shells for the major scale voicings and minor scale major scales and minor scales and the modes and everything, because when you get this down, it's not that much of a jump to just go to just a basic major scale shape. And just like we're going through these 5 shapes, you eventually want to do the same thing with the 7 major scale shapes. But pentatonic scales are generally easier to play because there's just 2 notes per string, and they make great soloing tools. So we're going to move on to the next one. Next one. This has a nice box, I've been calling it, up on the first 2 strings again. We've got, I'll just call out the fret numbers, 13, 11, 14, 11. Here on the first 2 strings, a couple of things you can do here is, that's a nice little bend. Here's our root note, so this is the flat 3rd. And that's nice to bend up to the 4th. You can even try to go further if you can get a, it's kind of a cool sound. You hear Jimmy Page do that sometimes. I like to do some of these little chromatic half-step little grace notes. So this is a nice little pattern, and then you've also got this note here. When we go down, we've got the 13th fret and the 10th fret, and this one bends nicely into our root note. So that's just a little piece of this next shape, shape number 3 of the minor pentatonic. That makes some cool little boxes that lend themselves to different ideas than you would find right here in the shape 1 minor. Our pattern here is 13, 11, 14, 11, 13, 10, 13, 11, 13, 11, and 13, 11. So this shape has another nice box down here where you've got 3 strings that have the same exact shape. 2 notes that are a whole step apart. So when I go up here, I have to shift back to the 10th fret. That's my only note that's on the 10th fret in this whole shape. So if I apply the same rhythm we did on the other 2 shapes, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Did the same thing because these two that I did on the last one, because these 2 notes are a whole step apart, so I just added that chromatic note in between. Then descended, then found my root note, B flat, 13th fret, 5th string, and then I'll add some vibrato. So the end of that is do one more time slow, 3, 4. Next one, gonna bring us up to this flat 7 of B flat. Just a quick note about single string shapes and how they intertwine with these 6 string shapes. If I take a B flat minor pentatonic starting here and I just do it all on the 1st string, this is going to show me all the places where the scale, all the scale notes on that string. It's the same is true for all of the strings. It's just a little confusing when you're starting from notes that aren't the root note, if you're not used to it, but I can do this on every string. So here I have flat 7 and 5, and this creates another really nice little box. So you'll notice as I'm going through, I'm talking about, we've got these nice little boxes on the top of each of these scales. This is another nice one. We got the, let's see, 12, 14, 16th fret, 16th, 13th, 16th, 15th, or 16th, 14th, and then 15th, 13th. And here you've got a couple of nice bending options. You've got this note here. We can bend up to the root note from the flat 7 to the 1. We've got this note, the 4, that we can bend to the 5 and do kind of one of our classic blues licks. So this is a nice little box here. The scale, if I go slowly, sixteenth, 13th, 16th, 14th, 15th, 13th, 15th, 13th, and then 16th, 13th, 16th, and 13th. And again, on this one, I may just kind of naturally default to more of a first finger, second finger, and third finger position rather than using my pinky all the time. If I kept all 4 fingers in their position, I would do it like this: first finger, fourth, first, third, second, fourth, first, fourth. But often when I'm playing it fast, I just have more strength in this third finger. And sometimes I like to have my pinky available to play a note up like that. So sometimes I'll do it like this, where I use my third finger, first finger, third finger, first finger, second finger, first finger, second finger, first, third, first, third, first. I don't know, I'm not always conscious of how I'm doing it. I'm just grabbing whatever feels good. So if I apply the same rhythm that we did on the other ones, 3, 4. So the last one, I've got a minor third, 3 half steps in between the top 2 notes of this scale again, just like we did on this one. So I'm just going to do a regular chromatic ascending on that, and then my root note, B flat, is here. So when I get here, I'm just going to flatten that first finger out and play that. So if I do a little quicker, 3, 4. I like the sound of some of these inflections, like doing a quick slide off of a note to adjacent scale tone. That's a nice inflection that makes your sound have a little more kind of attitude to it. So that's something you can try. You can try on any note. Going up or down. Anyway, so that's shape number 4, and we got 1 left. This one's going to get a little tight up here, so which we can do, but I'm going to do it down here. So this one is interesting because it shares. We're sharing the second note of every string in this shape with the first note of every string in this shape. And that is every single note if you just bar across 6 strings here. So I'm playing the 6th fret in this case because we're in B flat minor. The 6th fret on every string. The other note I'm playing changes, but the 1st and 2nd string, 5th and 6th string mirror each other, and then the middle 2 go back 1 more fret, so this would be 3rd fret. So we got 6, 4, 6, 4, 6, 3, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6, 4. You can do it fingering like this: 4th finger, 2nd finger, 4th finger, 2nd finger, 4th, 1st, 4th, 1st, 4th, 2nd, 4th, 2nd, or third, first, third, first, third, stretch first, third, stretch first, third, first, third, first. Whatever works best for you. So this exercise, starting on the of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. My 1 B flat is here, so that's where I'll resolve to, and because we've got only a whole step between these two notes, I'm doing the alternate pattern where I do the chromatic up and down. 4 E and 1 E and 2 and 3, 4, 1. So 3, 4. We've been through all 5. I'm going to go through all 5 in a slower tempo and show you how I would do these all connected together, and then I'll do it a little faster, and then we're going to wrap up for this video. So here we go. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Oops, a little weird one there. So that's the whole thing. If you spent some time practicing on these shapes and using musical rhythmic patterns like I've demonstrated in this video, I think you're going to find that this bears fruit in your playing. You're going to have more interesting ideas than if you get stuck into a single pentatonic shape, or even if you just know little portions of other ones. So I hope that this can help you master these across the neck. Again, that takes a long time. It typically takes a series of many months for a new concept, new patterns to really just make their way into my muscle memory, and for me be able to call upon them when I want them without really thinking about it. At first, you kind of have to force things out. You have to practice them a lot, but then eventually they just start appearing when you're improvising or when you just kind of noodling around. You'll start to see these things just kind of pop out. And that's the goal. It can be difficult. It is difficult, and it takes a lot of time. but there's really no way around it. Anybody that's trying to sell you some other way to do it, one secret trick that will make you really good at guitar in 10 days or something, is just it's just nonsense. I see a lot of this stuff just popping up. YouTube likes to give me advertisements for guitar players that I get these ads coming up. Don't you know this one strange trick that you've never thought of that's going to make you really good at this or that? And it's all nonsense. I've spent, at this point, 25 years of my life playing this instrument, practicing a lot. Sometimes more than others, but I've gone through periods of time where I'm practicing it all the time, many hours a day. And there's just no shortcuts. Your limitations are based on who you are as a person, your aptitude. But even if you're not someone that has a really strong physical aptitude for like shredding, fast lines, that dexterity that comes with it, that's not a problem. You can play to your strengths. The more musical that you can make your playing, the more kind of just creative you can be with the notes that you play. Get the most out of all the notes. You don't have to be able to shred and play super fast in order to create really interesting, really meaningful, creative, beautiful guitar parts. So everybody's different, and it's true that people have different levels of natural aptitude, but I don't have the same aptitude as someone else. Some people have more physical dexterity than I do, and I can tell in their playing that, oh boy, I might not be able to do that really fancy thing, but I've got a lot of ways that I've developed that play to my strengths. I'm a very kind of emotive player. I don't rely on speed and technical virtuosity, because not only is that not where I excel necessarily, but it's kind of boring to me. The best guitar players in my mind are the ones that can emote, can create really emotional like resonance with their playing. One guitar player that was really huge for me when I was younger was David Gilmour from Pink Floyd. Perfect example. Not a shredder, extremely melodic player. He played beautiful solos that you could sing the whole. I listened to a lot of Pink Floyd at that time, amongst tons of other bands, but his solos were just life-changing for me as a teenager because they were so different. They were so musical and melodic and beautiful that to this day, I haven't listened to Pink Floyd in years and years, but I could sing you his guitar solos, like long passages of the guitar solos. I could still play them because they just were that emotive and interesting to me. So that's hopefully maybe some encouragement for you to not strive to sound like anybody else. Work on your craft. Definitely practice, obviously, but don't be chasing some other kind of marker of success, like, oh, when I can play sweeping arpeggios at 160 beats per minute, I'm going to be good. No, you don't have to be able to play Guthrie Govan to be a good guitar player. And frankly, when I listen to someone like Guthrie Govan, I'm completely bored. I think he's an amazing guitar player, like technically unbelievable, but it's boring to me. So what does that say? It's not all about virtuosity. But the more that you dive into the different patterns of the guitar, the better you understand the neck, the more options you're going to have, and the more fun you're eventually going to have. So that's all I have to say for today. You can get the free PDF. It's just basic 5 shapes, so if you've already got that somewhere, you probably don't need the PDF, but you could use it as a practice guide and to work on these exercises we've done today, and then come up with your own ways to practice these. I just showed you one way that I came up with that I thought was kind of cool sounding. You could use it in that type of a vibe in a solo, and it would be cool and musical. But figure out some of your own ways to practice these, but just spend some time mastering them, and I think that it'll bear fruit in your playing. So, anyway, until next time, practice hard as always, and remember to enjoy the practice time. Enjoy making the things you're practicing, musical, so that they sound good and inspire creative ideas for you. So I'll see you in the next lesson, I hope, and talk to you soon.